Rachel, and this video is going to show you how to turn 4 pieces of A4 paper into a rose. So this is what we're making. It's a nice pretty paper rose. So things that you need to get started: 4 pieces of A4 paper. So I've got pink so that you can see it on the table, but if you've got white paper, that's completely fine. Any kind of rose colour that you would find natural roses with is completely fine. Some form of glue. I have a glue gun just for ease and speed. So if you have craft glue or Pritt Stick, either of those are fine. It may just take a little bit longer so that the glue sticks. Also a pair of scissors and a pencil. So I do also have a bone scorer, but if you don't have one of these, that's fine. You can use your scissors, they will do the job perfectly. And I also have a guillotine. So if you don't have a guillotine, also fine. You can use your scissors to cut them. It's just for speed. If you're making multiple, it may be worth investing in the guillotine and the glue gun. So to get started, we're going to form squares out of these A4 pieces of paper. So I like to do this by using one of the sheets and then marking on the other one. So if you form them like this, so we've got widthways against the lengthways, line up the edges, and then you can nice and easily with your pencil just make a couple of marks where the paper overlaps. Okay, and then I'm going to use the sheet and put it underneath here. So we've got all 4 sheets of paper against each other. If you only have scissors and don't have a guillotine, you can fold across this line and cut across, or if you have a guillotine, I'm going to place it like so, get a paper, put it through with our little pencil marks facing up, line it up. And cut through. So now you have your 4 squares. We're going to fold each of these up into smaller squares. So I want you to pick the corner of the square with the 2 edges on it. So you've got one here where you've got the folded paper, and the other one here which is one fold. So this corner. So we're going to draw a heart shape on the square. So this is best done if you measure about 8 centimetres or 3 inches down each side. So we're going to do that first. As you can see, I've made just little marks here and here. And I want you to join up those marks that you've made and form a heart on the paper like so. So now hopefully you can see I've just joined up this point and this point with 2 curves to make this into a heart shape. From here I'm going to take my scissors and cut along this line. Now I've cut out one heart shape. I'm going to use this to cut out these on the other 3 pieces of paper. On here again, make sure you've got the right edge, so the one with the 2 edges folded and 1 edge on that corner. Heart on here, and then cut that out. So it should make a shape like this. So if it doesn't come out like this, you've probably picked the wrong corner when you've cut it. So make sure that you pick that corner in the middle of the sheet with the folds on either side and not all the edges of paper. So cutting these out again. There we go. So I've got 4 of these now. It doesn't matter if they're not all perfectly matching. It's a rose, so we don't need all the petals to be perfectly the same. I'm going to open them out. So first one we're going to take, I'm going to cut out one petal, so cutting from one of these points into the middle and back up to this point. So do this with your scissors. So you have one like this and one like this. Sit these to the side. Next one, we're going to cut from here to the middle and then to here. So we've got one heart shape and then the rest without the heart shape in there. Like this. And put these on the pile with the other two. Third one, we're going to do the same, but this time cutting from here to here. So into the middle and back out to over here. Like this. Add these to the pile. And then last one, we're going to cut straight down the middle, so from here to here. So this one we're going to add to the pile, this one we're going to set aside. So if you're making more than one rose, you can use this in a different pack if you want to, just to save on the paper. So set this aside. So the next step we've got is to score all these pieces of paper, to curve them all round. We want them all going the same way. So you can either use your scissors, or if you have a bone scorer like this, we're just using it with your thumb and on the piece of paper, just to fold around the edges of the paper. So just the curved bits that you formed, like so. So they're all going the same way. And I do that with all of them. So it doesn't matter which side you score them, which way they go, as long as they all go in the same direction. So now, starting with the biggest one, so the one with only one segment cut out, we're going to glue these together. So I want you to glue the two edges of where that section's cut out together, so that the petals come facing outwards. We're going to glue this edge together. So like so. I'm going to set this to one side and repeat with all the other pieces of paper. So the smaller ones get much harder to form, so it's easier if you try and make them into the shape to start with. So use them in your fingers just to roll them around, try and make the shape. Start with, see where you would glue, and then take the glue gun or your Pritt stick or your craft glue and stick it together like so. So the smallest one's the hardest. Don't worry if when you roll this round you lose the curl of the petal at the top, it doesn't really matter. So now I've got all my petals glued into their shapes of different sizes. You should have a big one and then going down in size until you get to your smallest ones. So I'm going to show you before I glue it how we're going to put them together. So biggest one, I normally hold it in my hand, and then you get each one and lay them on top of each other in size, all going into the middle until we get to the smallest one and we form a rose shape. So then I'm going to take these out and take each one and glue a little dot in the middle and then keep adding them in. So this would be difficult if you've got Pritt stick. You may have to glue onto the bottom and hold them like so and try and glue in here and then stick it down, just a little bit more fiddly. So starting like this and sticking them in. And so if you do have a glue gun, if you're holding it like this, make sure you're holding it away so that you don't burn through the paper onto your hand, because glue is really hot. So I keep doing them, it doesn't have to be perfect, I just keep sticking them in so that when they're all in together then I can try and rearrange it whilst the glue's setting so that it looks really nice. And then the last one, it's easier if you take the smallest one and put a bit of glue on the end and then stick it in. So you can use your hand around the bottom of it. Again, watch out for that point, because if there is hot glue gun glue in there, you need to be careful not to burn yourself. And then using your other hand just to try and position those petals on the top gently so that they look as nice as you can. And then we're going to try and leave this to set. So if you've got anything that you can put it in, that's fine, or you can leave it to set, trying to sit it down. But if all the petals do fall one way, it may set over to the one side. So if you can find something to help keep it upright, then that's perfect. So I'm going to use this vase that I've got just to place it down and put the flower on the top of it, just to help position it in. Try and get it into a nice spot and then leave it to set. So it can also be useful if you do have a kind of vase like this that you can use that's the right sort of size, but when you continue making them, you put the first one in there and then you can glue into that instead of having to hold it. It's up to you. And then once the glue is set, that's our completed rose.